Good morning, everybody. This is Dee. We are live with our technical assistance webinar. Today is August 13th. Good morning, everybody. We have check-in boxes at the top of the screen, so if you want to check in for your organization, we have Tammy on the call, and we have Fred in the house as well, and he if we have questions for DHS, Fred will be able to answer them for you, and Tammy will be able to answer questions for DCEO items if you have them. Please check the box below the chat pod to let us know what areas we need to cover. Then we can work through those so that we're mindful of everybody's time. If you do have a question about eligibility and enrollment, please type it in there as we are just now getting some people making their selections there. And if you do have a question about eligibility and enrollment, please type it into the chat pod so that we can answer that for you now. And I don't see anybody typing right now, so we'll move on to pre and post assessment. If anybody has a question about pre and post assessment, please type that into the chat pod now. We do have one person that indicated that they need to see something on pre and post assessment. So we'd like to know what it is that you need to see. We'll give you just a couple of seconds. So Tammy, while we're waiting for somebody to type, is there something that you would like to share with everybody? How are we doing on reports and payroll and all that kind of good stuff?
We're definitely making progress. I'm hoping to see some more payroll entered. Hopefully today I'm going to once again do reviews and submit additional cash requests today. So we're definitely making some good progress on our programs. Like I said, the main thing is to be very timely once you have your payroll completed internally to make sure you're loading it up in WorkNet and including your expenditure report form so we know where you're at with your payroll. And obviously the next steps is going to be, we're reaching at the end. I did send something to my grantees as far as status of where we're at. That's loud.
Oh, goodness.
Not sure where that came from. But we're trying to figure out a status of where we're at with our expenditures. We have a lot of kids that are going back to school, so some of our programs are going to be ending here soon. And so we are checking up on a status of, expenditures and where we're at. And we will be looking eventually into if there's going to be under expenditures and grants, some redistribution. So that's part of the intent of reviewing where we're at and making sure we're timely in our reports.
Good point. All right, since I didn't see anybody type anything about pre and post assessment, let's move on to Employment 101. If you have a question about Employment 101, please type that into the chat pod now. Let's see here. Melody is asking, if a student gets a certificate but is not enrolled, do they need to reapply, and will they get another certificate? I'm not quite sure what you mean by certificate. If that's the certificate of completion for the pre and post assessment, is that what you meant?
A person, this is Natasha and Melody, a person doesn't have to be enrolled in the program to actually complete the pre-post Employment 101 and get their certificate of completion. They can do that whether they're enrolled or not. So, if you just need to have them marked as enrolled, I know I'm not sure if this is the instance where there's one individual that for some reason they're marked as not enrolled that we're looking into. But, if they just need to be enrolled, that, go ahead and enroll them. One thing I do want to point out, and it's been something that's come up lately now that you mentioned this, is some people are saying that they have people that are showing them that they've completed their certificate of completion, and that they've already done it, but yet they have an account where they've already had a payroll upload and all this other kind of stuff. And so what we've noticed that's happening is that instead of some people, providers helping the youth with recovering their password, what they've done is instructed them to set up and complete another application and to set up a whole nother account. But that is absolutely not what we want them to do. In all cases, we never encourage them to set up a second account, because now you have information that's in all different places, and we don't, that we have to have a programmer go in and merge that information together. So if you're in that situation, in all cases, do not ask them to set up another account and complete a second application. What they should do is within their profile, there's information, and it says, I don't remember the words exactly, but basically it's password help, and you have the information and instructions there to help them recover their password. And if you need to, you can always email SYEP2014@illinoisworknet.com, and we will make sure that we work with you and that individual to recover their password and get into the right account.
All right, so Melody, does that answer your question? Thank you, Melody. Okay, we don't have anybody that has any questions or anything about adding employers or placing youth with a work site. Last call for those two areas.
We have a pre-assessment question.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Ed. What is your pre-assessment question? We'll wait for Ed to type. And while we're waiting for Ed to type, please get ready with your payroll and reporting questions, but let us answer Ed's first. Ed has a youth who has Illinois WorkNet accounts from 2013, and their pre-assessments are not coming up on my report. And that is because they do need to log into the 2014 website and take their pre-assessment in the 2014 website, because the account may still work and you may need to retrieve their password, just like Natasha was just talking about, but they do need to take their pre and post assessment in the 2014 items from the 2014 SYEP 2014 website.
Where are they signing in? If you don't mind going to the SYEP 2014 page.
Sure, let me share my screen.
Or so even on the 2014, I would need to know exactly what the URL is, because there's no reason why it should take them to the 2013. They're two completely, totally separate.
So I have on the screen my 2014 website, and I just typed the web address into the chat pod. And from here, if I scroll down to the return to your SYEP application and tools, if I click on that, then it takes me to log into my account. And when I log in, it takes me to this year's SYEP account. And it shows me all of my information. And I have an account from 2013 as well because I was doing the same kind of thing last year. So maybe you just need to try to get to that proper web address. I don't know
It
that
shouldn't matter. We test on Mac as well as we use test in Safari, Firefox, Safari on Mac, iPads, tablets, and different things. So, but if you still have an issue, just send the email with the information that you're using to the SYEP 2014 at illinoisworknet.com, and we'll work with you directly.
All right, thanks, Ed. All right, so we're ready now. If you're done, Ed, if we're ready now for any payroll and reporting questions that you might have. Toby was right on the button there. Our third payroll date ended on August 8th, which puts us in the last week of July and the first week of August. Do have to include those last 4 days of July's wages and benefits in my July EDF. I'm assuming that you're DHS because of that report name. And then our payroll is done by an accountant. Should I divide the wages and benefits in half, one for the July and the other for the EDF for August? Fred, that is a question for you, and I have unmuted your phone. So if you would like to answer Toby. Oh. Fred. Oh. He was the one that had the banging going on. Let me see if he dialed back in. There we go. Sorry, Fred. There we go.
No, I said I'm gonna check with Ashton how she want to proceed with this and get back with Toby.
All right, and you'll. It would be good if you let everybody know just in case anybody else had that same issue with the payroll periods.
Okay, no problem there.
Okay. Brittany has a question specifically related to the youth wage timesheet. Do you want to ask your question, Brittany? The timesheets are the same for both DHS and DCEO. The ID number in the upper right-hand corner is referring to the youth's state-issued ID number or an ID number that is generated from the SYEP system. If this is an ID through the SYEP system, where would I find it? So let's go to, let's minimize this screen, and let's go to the youth. And I happen to be in the Springfield Urban League. I'm going to the youth's profile. And as I'm scrolling down,
Now, the system, the SYEP system that we have, I mean, we don't have a specific ID necessarily that is related to that timesheet. I don't know, DCO or DHS, what were you expecting to have?
Yeah, Natasha, this is Tammy, and those are just fillers if for the organization if they have a specific ID or department number they want to enter in. So that's not anything really relevant to what we look at. It's just something for them if they have an internal number that they want to assign to it.
All right, so then that would then answer Shannon's question, are the ID number mandatory? That would be no.
Yeah, that's just for your internal use and your career specialist. I had a question on that at one time too. You know, if you have a career specialist assigned to this person, you can enter that. If you don't, that's okay. The main thing we want to know is the work site, the employers, their hours, and then we want them to be signed by the employee and the on-site supervisor. And then we also want you to document, you know, obviously your work readiness hours.
And to Ed's point, yes, when you upload the payroll, the youth is assigned a specific ID, but that's simply a number so that the system knows who to associate that payroll with. So it's not used really anywhere else except behind the scenes to make sure that the payroll and everything is associated with the right person.
Yes, Brittany, we don't want accountants bothering us. All right. Do we have any other payroll and reporting questions? All right, moving on.
Hey, Dee, I did have a
Sure.
question from a person that contacted me the other day about, it's a DHS location, and they need to turn in their expenditure report forms, you know, at the end of each month. And so, you know, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that, you know, with the payroll, to upload payroll and the forms, you know, to be able to submit them, you have to have both the payroll, you know, for the youth as well as a file for your expenditure report. So this person was trying to just submit the expenditure report for the entire month. But as a solution for that person, what we did was picked a payroll where their last date was July 31st, and we just included that expenditure report within that payroll. So it doesn't have to be a totally separate thing. Just your end of the month expenditure report that you're supposed to turn in, just add it to that payroll that is ending for the month. You can have multiple documents there. If you wanted to have the week expenditure report as well as a monthly one there, that's fine. You're not limited to only being able to upload one document.
So Toby was asking, can you upload 2 EDFs in one payroll? And yes. So if, for example, I go to this payroll that is 6/1 to 7/31, and I click on the edit, the payroll is here, but down here under upload documents, upload expenditure files, I can browse and upload more than one. So here's one that would be for potentially that June time frame, and then you can upload another file that would be for the July time frame. So that's how you can upload the 2 expenditure files. Does that answer your question, Toby? All right, great. Are there any other payroll and reporting questions? All right. Let's move on to outcomes and success stories. So who had a question about outcomes or success stories?
We've had some people that are ready for success stories. And if you're ready for success stories, like today, this week, send us an email to the SYEP 2014 at illinoisworknet.com, and we'll give you specific instructions. We'd like to have by Monday the piece that embeds the success story tool into the youth tool, so they just have to log into their account and they can submit them directly from that point. So we're shooting for Monday to have that available. But if you need like I said, if you need to get those done this week, please contact us via the SYEP 2014 email, and we'll get and make sure we work with you on that. But you
All
can
right,
go
and
ahead and start entering your outcomes as well. That's available.
so for a youth, if I wanted to go to Peter Parker's, I guess I need to have somebody that has been enrolled in training. Oh, this is Rosie Riveter. If I look at her profile, she was eligible, she was enrolled, she worked in a program, she had her payroll submitted, and her completion status is she enrolled in training. So we have options here of either has not completed, which is the default, enlisted in military, enrolled in training, was hired by an employer, returned to school, or other. So you can fill that out, and then all you have to do is click Update, and that updates their format. So if I want to change this from enrolled in training to hired by employer, I can update it, and then in the list of the youth, it will show us, when I go back to my dashboard and go to my youth again, sorry, I could have just clicked on the youth tab. It will show us that Rosie Riveter is now hired by employer. So you can change this along the way if you do need to.
And if you don't mind, Dee, would you go ahead and show them the dashboard? And you can see, I remember you to always use your dashboard as a way to easily access the list of youth that meet that specific criteria. So the dashboard's really nice because it can give you an overview of where everybody is through the pipeline. And then, you can click on the links to see the individuals. So you can see Rosie Riveter's right there, and you wouldn't know unless you clicked on it, but you could see that that person is, that's their completion status. Now you'll notice that there's a red section that's withdrawn or exited. That option's available only available if the person either doesn't have a pre or post assessment, or they don't have a payroll upload, and that's considered the unsuccessful completion. The green ones are made available whenever the person is eligible, they're for successful completion. So those are the options that you'll choose. And if you want a list of people that haven't had anything set yet, then you can select one that says has not completed. And that'll easily give you a filtered list of those individuals that need to have their completion status set.
All right. So do we have any other questions that we haven't answered for anybody today? Brittany is asking, is it possible to delete a duplicate student account? We had one youth worker who created a second account when she couldn't remember her password. Right now I have her second account listed as not placed, withdrawn, or exited. Is that something that you would like them to send you an email to SYEP2014@illinoisworknet.com, Natasha?
Yeah, that'd be great. Then we can inactivate that account.
How do you remove an employer or an organization? Have they had
Then that,
anybody work there
yeah.
yet, Melody? All right, so then let's go up to our employers. Fred, is that answer to the question from earlier?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So let's go to Pollock's pineapples. And if they have not had any payroll associated with them, then all you need to really do is just go in and remove the information to delete everything and then just update.
Yeah, if you need to remove the actual employer, then you can send us an email to SYEP 2014. Otherwise, if you just want to leave the employer there, but you don't want to show the plan placements, if you scroll down a little bit, you could leave, if you wanted to, you can leave the employer there, just to show that you already have the background check and the worksite agreement in place. But you can always you can update your plan placement. So, or if it's a duplicate, then obviously let us know and we'll delete it so that, we don't have the duplicate in there. We don't want that. But, if you just need to remove or update the planned placements, you can do that at any time.
The other thing, too, is if they never had the supervisor background checks or the worksite agreements in place, you can't place youth there anyway. So that makes a little bit of the difference as well. All right. So then Fred is answering Ed's question from earlier. I'm sorry, Toby's question from earlier about the split in the payroll. And Lacey is asking Brittany to please send her the youth's name and information. Okay. Do we have any other questions that we have not answered yet? Can you edit or update the primary contact information for an employer? Yes, by going to this same spot at the bottom of the page, we can update the information here by, sorry, scrolling down too far. Main phone number, and then we can add or delete a contact. This, and then just updating. So here we would, let me go back to employers. And
and if there's, you can update your employers and your contact information, and if, for whatever reason, if you have any trouble, like, either if you need one deleted or something like that, then just let us know. But otherwise, you can just update the contact information up there.
Right. And then down here, we can, if you need to add another work site, you can do that as well. What is the turnaround time on reimbursements? Ed, are you DHS or DCEO? Fred, would you like to answer that question for Ed, please?
The turnaround for reimbursements, most of our payroll have been processed by DHS, so we're right, and all the information has been expedited. We're in the hands of the controller in terms of reimbursement right now. So we're not sure, but I talked to Ashley yesterday, and she's aggressively working on that issue.
All right. All right, any other questions that we have from the audience? We're right at 30 minutes, which is great today. Ed is going to email Fred. That's a rhyme. Um, is there a timeline for redistribution? Shannon, are you DCEO or DHS? Tammy, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, we put out a request to the grantees to see, where we're at and what their projection expenditures are, and if they feel like they're going to have any funds available. So by, next week we're going to have a relatively good handle, I think, on where everybody is. And we've had some agencies that have already indicated that, they're going to be out of funds and they would like some additional funds if available. So we're going to be evaluating all that next week.
Okay, if we don't see anybody else typing, we will consider ending our discussion. Fred, do you have anything that you would like to add last minute?
No, I don't. Thank you now.
Tammy, would you like to add anything?
Just get your payrolls uploaded, and please respond to my email that I sent out regarding your status. And, I think everybody's moving along real well, so we're pleased with our performance.
Okay. And one last bit for the contact information. I can't remember who just typed that. Brittany. And for anybody. The contact information, if you need to edit any of that, the specific contacts, you will need to send that information to SYEP 2014 at illinoisworknet.com. Natasha, anything last minute you'd like to add?
No, not this time. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We will see you again next week at 10:30. Have a great week. And remember, if you have anything specific in the interim, you can send that to SYEP 2014